my stuff together here. Hey everyone, sorry we're starting a little bit late here. Bear with me just a minute while I get my stuff in order. Alrighty. Okay, so Lucy, we got some. How are you, ma'am? We have some questions from you.
Yeah, hi, Will. Hi, Happy New Year.
Yeah, thanks. You too. Caitlin, do you have Lucy's questions that you can post for me, or do you need me to send them to you?
I do. I'm pulling that up now. There you go.
Good Lord, where's this stuff at? There is. Okay, first question. Could you clarify the reason for removing multi-tenancy feature in V7 and re-adding this feature in V8? Yeah, that's so, we've had a long-term roadmap goal to move decisions to be able to be hosted not on Windows servers, but in containers. And so for a long time now, for 3.5, maybe even 4 years, we've been moving towards running decisions, allowing decisions to run in a Linux Docker container. And one of the things we had to do is in version 6 and below, decisions relied on Microsoft's Internet Information Services web server to function as the web application or the web front end. And we expected it to be there. In a world where we run in a Docker, we can't, there is no IIS for Linux. And so we had to remove that dependency from the application. Now, we still allow you to install an IIS if you install to Windows Server today. But we added the ability to run what we call like embedded, where we use a .NET Core web server called Kestrel to manage the web traffic. And between version 6 and version 7, we were doing a lot of the back-end work to swap out .NET Framework for .NET Core. And it was a big lift for us. And we could have added multi-tenancy. We could have paused version 7 delivery and put multi-tenancy back into it. But we made the sort of cost-benefit calculation that we would rather get .NET Core out and start working through the inevitable issues with it than we would put multi-tenancy back. Because multi-tenancy was built specifically with IIS. It was the most IIS specific feature that we had. And, we needed to do a lot of work to get it back. So it's not really, it could have come back in V7, but we made a product, the product team made the determination that it was best to hold it for version 8, so that we could release version 7 when when our roadmap dictated. So that's kind of the reason for it. We needed to redo multi-tenancy in a way that didn't imply IIS existing.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Will, for explanation. And are there any customers are on the version 7 at the moment, or they most just skip version 7 and then upgrade to version 8 directly?
Yes, you can update from 6 to 8 directly.
Okay. So you don't know for any of your customers they're using version 7, or are they most are multi-tenancy or not?
They ask that question again for me.
Do you know the most of your customers are using version 7 or using multi-tenancy feature or not? Do you know about the data?
There's probably about 10% maybe of our customers use multi-tenancy.
Okay.
And I can tell you right now, oops, sorry. I'll give you my actual data here about version information. So I can actually come here just a moment. I'll actually show you this. I probably shouldn't, but this is some data, and so this is the breakdown between our major versions. So right now, about half our customer base is running either 7 or 8, and then a quarter is still on 6, and then some older versions here make up the other 25%, as well as some that we don't currently have good data on. So about 50% are on 7 or 8 at this point. And I think it kind of goes to one of your next questions about end of life support for V6.
Yeah.
And so our goal right now, is to terminate support, production support for version 6 in this summer. I believe June 1st is a specific date where we want to stop supporting version 6. And anything earlier than that as well, of course.
Okay. And when you say by June stop support, is that hard timeline to stop supporting? Let's say in central bank we have our roadmap as well. If we're not able to complete upgrade by summertime, what's the impact for us?
Yeah, I mean, we of course are as long as we have a plan in place that has specific dates and measurables, we're happy to extend support if we need to. I know that there's been some conversations with your team about what timeline can be hit. So if as long as we have some mutually agreed upon plan, and it might take your team a little bit longer than expected, we're happy to support that. We just have to. It can't just be open-ended. We need to understand when, right? The goal is not to put you in a bad place, but just to find, we need to find a way to not support very old versions of the product forever. So we're happy to work with you and come up with a custom depreciation plan as needed.
Definitely, yeah. Thanks for the answer here.
Yeah, you bet. And you had a question about what's the impact of not using Redis and scaling vertically?
Yeah, I think we already chat about it, because at the moment we are still trying to understanding like Redis is a problem for us at the moment. But if we don't use it, like what actually further impact for us, let's say if next year we may want to use Redis based on our roadmap, and how do we evaluate it's good to use Redis or not?
The point is you can't run a cluster without Redis in version 8. So I think some of the work we did a few months back was to talk about how you could keep multiple servers in use without necessarily having them clustered together because of the Redis question. And a lot of that work was all around finding ways for you guys to architect your systems to not use Redis. So using Redis allows you to cluster. Not using Redis doesn't do anything if the application's not clustered. It doesn't exist, or it's not a dependency for a server that's not in a cluster at all.
Yeah, but if we don't use clustering, it sounds like we don't need to load the balancer as well. It just doesn't sound like a proper production architecture without load balancer.
Without I mean, I think that's more of an internal question for your team, which is, can you support, like what's the requirement for high availability for you? And do you need multiple servers serving up work? This is probably, I mean, I'm happy to dive back into this conversation with you and team again. There's options here. I mean, most of our cluster setups are active, where both nodes are going to be serving requests. But you could have hot spares, or you could have failover. There's other options, you know, considering the sort of open question of Redis support in your organization.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, we'll probably have a more meeting in next few weeks. Just deep dive in these questions.
Okay. Hey,
Better.
Caitlin, this is Central Bank, so that would be something I'd ask for you to help. You want to reach out to Lucy and maybe help schedule a follow-up conversation about this topic?
For sure.
You, Caitlin, were you part of those previous conversations with me? This is maybe,
I don't think
I don't know,
was.
half a year ago?
Don't believe so.
Okay, got it. All right, well, I can catch you up on some of the details there. But I think, Lucy, what we'll do is Caitlin will reach out, and then we can have, you know, follow-up conversations as needed. I know that I think it was with, he's got a name. I liked his name, but I'm struggling to remember it. Oh man, what was his name? He got me to agree to like a June 1st date.
Amen is our
Amen. That's
project
right. Yep, it's
manager. Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm happy to resync with, you know, Amen and you and everyone else if there's more questions there.
Definitely.
And come up with maybe a custom support plan, just as long as we can have some detailed understanding of your team's you know, dates.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Waya. Thank you.
You bet. All right. Okay, so Maria's got a question. We will be undertaking a project that tracks the status and modification of procedures. As such, we would like to find a way to have multiple people updating the procedure at the same time in the same way you can have multiple editors in SharePoint or a spreadsheet. Is that something that's possible in decisions, or will this be purely a routing exercise? This might be a place, I don't actually know how to do this, but I've been told by one of our partners, a guy named Jason Drennan, that he's done something similar where he iframed in like using Microsoft's Graph API, like Office, and allowed, and iframed in like the online Excel. So there's like Excel online now. You can, like, instead of needing it to download it locally, you can just create spreadsheets through the web application version of Office 365. And he found a way using Microsoft's Graph API to embed it in a decisions form, or possibly on a dashboard. So there might be some way to do this. I could connect you with him. That's not something I could walk through or even understand yet. He hasn't walked me through how he got it to work.
Well, that's fair. I'm just asking the question, like, should we even consider it, or should we just plan on routing it? So,
probably routing. I mean, like, is it like, you know, so like, here's an example of a process. So let's assume you have a SOP document and you want to send it for revisions, right? And so you're going to send it to 10 people in sequence and get their changes. And then at the end, you want to do like a final approval or something. If that's the case, it might make sense to create an assigned form that says like, hey, change request for document XYZ has been initiated by user ABC with these notes. See previous versions, see new version. But those are just links to Office 365 or to SharePoint, as opposed to trying to figure out how to put that document inside of decisions. Decisions is just the tasking engine telling you that there's something that your feedback is necessary on something, but not also saying like, you know, red line this document, if you will, through a decisions form.
okay, we also have a project going on with them to put stuff, not decisions related, into long-term storage. So I don't know that they want it in SharePoint because that conflicts with their policy of the secured storage. But I mean, we could definitely think about that.
Where are the documents today? Are they on a shared drive somewhere? Do you know where they're located?
They would be on a shared drive or possibly in SharePoint, or in most cases, they don't exist yet. So we're going to be building them from scratch. So
I mean, you could use Decisions as a document repository. There is versioning. It's not commonly used, and I don't know that we're like the best fit for that. You know, you have a lot of options about where the documents may actually live. Of course, it could also just be that if everyone has access to Word, you just use like a file control and you actually send the file person to person, right? And you have them download, make their changes and upload it so that it gets the uploaded version or the modified version gets sent to the next person in sequence. That's an option as well. Yeah. If one of the difficulties is if it's a shared drive, like it's like an Excel file or a Word document, you're probably not going to be able to open that up directly. You won't be able to open that up directly from a link, probably. So maybe you need to think about, it's definitely more straightforward for creating a document where someone might create a document, attach it, say like they launch a process that says like initiating new SOP, right? And they, creating an SOP for XYZ, draft document attached, and you give them a file upload. That goes to the next person, whoever whatever sort of approval chain logic you might have there. And then that person has a file download control for the draft. They can download it, open up in Word, and then make their changes. That's probably the most straightforward way to do it. That might be a little bit trickier. But there's given like where the document might be located at. But I guess at the end of the day, you could have the final action in this thing just overwrite the existing document once it's been fully approved. So maybe it doesn't matter if you're editing, you probably wouldn't even want to, I guess, edit the actual document while you're, doing the approvals.
Yeah. Well, this is still very early in the planning stages. So
right.
Is that something that I would go through support when I have a better idea of what I would want to do? And also, how do I find out who our customer success manager is? Because I keep emailing Caitlin, and that may or may not be correct.
It is Caitlin. I think Caitlin, is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, all right then.
Yeah, so I just anything like that's not tactical, that I just keep going through Caitlin. And if that relationship changes, if we were to have someone else take over, we'd communicate that to you, Maria, so you knew that.
Okay. Perfect.
She'd be better set to be able to like hunt me down or someone else down, or facilitate like a call with an architect to talk through the pros and cons of an approach or something.
Okay. That's what I needed. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Hey, let me know if anyone else has any questions today. There's more in the queue currently. So if you have a question, you can use the raise hand feature, ask it in chat, or ask it in the QA section. All right, looks like people are starting to drop. So let me know if anyone has any questions. We're about at 12:30. If not, we'll go ahead and I think call it a day here. All right, well, looks like that's everyone hopping off. So thanks, everybody. We will see you same time tomorrow. As always, let everyone know if you have any questions. Thanks. Have a great day. See ya.
Have a good one.